How to make a long wallet. Things that you'll need: a rubber mat, a ruler, a burnishing stick, some rags, a cutting board, 5mm pitch pricking iron, box cutter, a number 2 edge beveler, a number 1 would be fine, a leather groover, a pair of craft scissors, a coin, a wool dauber, 1mm waxed polyester leather craft thread, some contact cement or suitable glue, oil dye, this is mahogany, some leather wax, Tokonole edging agent, and some double-sided tape. You'll also need at least an 8cm zipper, an awl, a couple of hole punches and a lighter. You'll also need some rivets and a 15mm snap. Although I'm using an industrial sewing machine for this project, it's not totally necessary. You could hand stitch everything, it'll just take longer. Okay, let's get to work. Print out the templates, making sure that your printer is set to have no margins so that the dimensions of the outer piece come out just like this. And then cut out the pieces of leather according to the instructions on that printout. Round the corners on the thicker pieces of leather using a coin and a box cutter. Bevel the edges on the thicker pieces of leather. I'm using a groover here just to score a line on the outer piece where the stitching will lie in. Now I'm using a custom die here for the trimmings, but you could get a good result using a craft knife or a good pair of scissors. Now this is the clasp piece, and it's 2 thick pieces of leather which are stuck together, and it's a cutlass sort of inspired shape, and I've grooved around the edges and punched through using the pricking iron. I started in the corners using an awl, so I'll have nice smart corners, and I haven't stuck it down right to the end because I'm going to be adding a clasp later. Aha! So here are all my pieces ready for dyeing. I'm using Feebing's oil dye. It's mahogany with a wool dauber. It doesn't make too much difference on the dark brown there, but on the Veg Tan it's quite spectacular. If you have a maker's mark, a stamp, then now's a good time to do that while the dye is almost dry. It gives it a more professional touch. Now I'm hitting it with some leather wax. Carnauba cream would also work well. That's beautiful. So here are all my pieces dyed. Now with the trimmings I've decided to go for black with them. It seems the best combination against the mahogany. Back to the coin pouch. I've punched holes where the rivets will go, and also marked and punched holes through the bill flap so that it'll be ready to rivet later. I'm grooving around the edges of the bill flap too. I'm using Tokonole as part of the burnishing process. You can burnish as much or as little as you'd like. So taking my zipper now, I'm ready to make up the coin pouch. I'm taking 2 thin strips of double-sided sticky tape. And removing the backing so that the zipper can just be placed exactly where I want it. It's not going to move about when it's on the sewing machine. Then I'm using my walking foot sewing machine to just sew that zipper in. Using another thin strip of double-sided tape, I'm then ready to seal up the end and sew around the edges. And that will complete the coin pouch. Then it's just a matter of riveting it to the bill flap. Here's the clasp again, and I'm ready to put the snap into place before I stitch around. So taking 2 needles, I'm going to saddle stitch around the clasp piece. There are plenty of tutorials available if you want to know more about saddle stitching. Basically, I want to keep everything consistent and smart, and the hand stitching does give it an extra sort of nice look. So this is where the clasp strap is going to go, just tucked in under there. But next I want to sew around the inside of the trimmings. So first I'm going to glue those pieces down with some contact cement. But I'm going to leave a pocket on that right hand side so that the clasp strap will just pop right in. So I'm doing that for both pieces of trimmings, and I'm going to sew around the inside part right now. Just like that. So there's where the strap is going to go. And it's beginning to take shape. The coin pouch part is all ready. That's how it's going to look. So I'm going to sew in the coin pouch part now, starting on that part there so that it'll give a smart line to the stitching. Now I'm ready to fix the clasp strap. So using the pricking iron, I'm going to mark out 2 lines of holes, and using the awl either side of the strap so that it'll lock it into place. Then it's just a matter of punching those holes right through and then saddle stitching it, locking it down. Makes for a very strong attachment, and with a dab of dye later we'll smarten that up. So the next step is to mark where I want the clasp to meet on the outer part of the leather. So I'm just making an indentation there and ready to punch a hole and set the snap. So now it's just onto the floating card slots compartment. You could just put 3 slices like that, but I like to do this way because I can put in many more cards and documents, and this is the order that I stack those pieces of leather. So I'm just going to sew down the line that's marked as indicated on the template, and then the final piece, the smallest piece, will go on the outer edge like that. So there we are, that's stitched through. Now I've got to attach that piece with some double-sided sticky tape and then round the edges. Round the corners, just using a marker pen to blacken them. So this is where I want to attach the card slots to the floating piece, which is attached to the outer piece of leather. That's now stitched. There's just a matter of stitching around the edges of the card slots without going through onto the floating piece. So that's done now. It's just a matter of attaching it to the outer piece. And there we are, it's all done.